It's week 6 of the Scottish hydroelectric season, and before today, Forest and Hawick YM were second in their respective leagues. But would they be topping the tables by the end of the weekend? Welcome to Borders Rugby Roundup from Poynter Park. We'll be finding out later on how Kelso got on here against Musselburgh in Premier 2. But let's begin with Premier 1. Edinburgh Academicals visiting Mansfield Park to take on Hawick. Grahame MacGregor was there.
Well, some people said this was one of the worst matches they've seen in a long time. Not so Accies coach Ian Barnes, who brought his team back to his old stomping ground at Mansfield Park. But it was a pretty dour affair. A try by Keith Headley and 2 penalty goals from Craig Nish gave Hawick the advantage at half-time. But with the weather behind them, Accies moved into the lead after the break. Former Gala player Ian Berthunison scoring a try, converted by Stuart Walker, who added 3 penalty goals. A narrow win in the end and another backward step for Hawick.
Probably one of our worst performances for a long time. It was really inept after the performances against Selkirk and the performance up against Boroughmuir last week. I was disappointed by the way we played. We entered into the game exactly like Edinburgh Accies wanted us to do, and the game was, they slowed it down to a blur. It can't have been very exciting for spectators because it was a dreadful game.
Yeah, well, we're pretty pleased with that. It's a difficult place to come and win. We came down, we knew what we had to do. It maybe wasn't a classic, but we knew what we had to do and we came down and did it.
Over at the Greenyards, Melrose were looking to get 2 wins on the bounce. They were hosting Curry, and Bruce Millar was there for us.
A miserable day at the Greenyards, and in the end a miserable performance from a Melrose side which started out so brightly. With a stiff breeze at the back, a brace of Callum Anderson tries within the first 20 minutes, one converted by Scott White got them off to the perfect start. But in the difficult conditions, the power of the Curry side began to tell, and 2 converted tries of their own took them ahead 14-12 at half-time. 2 Curry penalties were enough to ease them home. The final score at the Greenyards, Melrose 12, Curry 20.
Staying in Premier 1, Selkirk travelled to Golden Acre to face Heriots. Bill Polson sends us this report.
This match at Golden Acre is a superb advert for club rugby, full of movement from start to finish. At the end, Heriots had revived their season, while Selkirk's spirit and quality was high throughout. Heriots scored second quarter tries through Colin Gowdy, Greg Rutherford and Stuart Bell, who hacked and chased for 95 yards as the suitors threatened. Graham Wilson kicked 2 conversions, while Selkirk captain Neil Darling scored a try converted by David Cassidy. Second half, Michael Short and Bell scored tries for the home side, with Wilson converting 1. Fraser Hartness and Michael McVie scored good tries for Selkirk, both converted by Cassidy. Final score, Heriots 31, Selkirk 21.
Well, this is how the Premier 1 table looks after 6 matches. Next Saturday, Hawick travel to Curry looking for their first away win of the season. Selkirk host high-flying Ayr in what should be a cracker, and Melrose visit Glasgow Hawks. Let's go to Premier 2 now, and here at Poynter Park, Kelso played Musselburgh. Here's Laing Speirs.
Kelso came away from this game at Poynter Park with 2 bonus points, which was really rather more than they deserved after a very lacklustre first-half performance, which saw them 17 points down at the interval. But Kelso did score 4 tries, and there were good ones too, but against a streetwise Musselburgh side, they never really looked like winning after a very shaky start.
Also in Premier 2, over at the Geights, Peebles were taking on Biggar. This was the first competitive match between the 2 local rivals in 7 years. The Peebles pack outmuscled their opponents right from the off, disrupting Biggar's own scrums and stamping their authority on their own put-ins. With the wind and driving rain behind them in the first half, Peebles took the game to Biggar early on, and while they perhaps didn't play the conditions as well as they could have done, they went in at the break 10-3 up, with a penalty from leading Borders point scorer Dan Boughtwood, who also converted this well-crafted try from his pack, number 8 David Payton, the man to touchdown for the Geights men. Early in the second half, Peebles extended their lead after a second penalty by Biggar's Chris McKeand. Another converted try made by the forwards, this time Adam Clark going over. A converted Doug Notman try and further Botman penalty gave Peebles a 7-point cushion before Payton controlled the ball behind his teammates to get another try. With Boughtwood wrapping up the scoring with this well-taken conversion, Peebles deservedly won this, 25-13.
Well, delighted to get a win. We won ugly today. The conditions didn't allow for much flowing rugby, and our forwards controlled the game. So another typical border game, and Biggar came down obviously looking to get points here, but we've controlled the game in the second half especially, and delighted to win.
Now tell us about the conditions out there. I mean, we can see you at the moment, you're caked with mud. There is a Dan Boughtwood underneath there apparently, and your forwards definitely stepped up to the plate. Must be great from the backs to play behind some guys like that who put in the effort today.
Yeah, there's nothing better than seeing your forwards dominate another pack, and I think special mention has to go out to Davey Payton. He's been out injured for a while, and I think it's the second or third game back, and he really led from the front, and he was one in particular that really wanted to win today, and so no, it's awesome to see the forwards going forward and scoring tries too. It's good for them.
After the break, the rest of the Premier 2 news from Richie Gray.
Jed Forest's good start to the season continued with an away victory at Aberdeen by 18 points to 16, winning the game with the last kick of the match thanks to a Chris Laidlaw penalty. Laidlaw also kicked another penalty and a conversion, with Jed's 2 tries coming from Robert Hogg and Greg Walker. Here's Jed boss Cliff Livingston.
It's a great result coming up to Aberdeen, and Aberdeen's a hard place to come up and get a result. The boys stuck it well. We won it with a late Chris Laidlaw penalty. I thought the boys deserved their win today.
Gala were away at Hamilton and just missed out on a victory, going down 21-20, both tries for the Maroons going to Andy McLean, with Bruce Dick kicking 2 penalties and converting both of the tries. So Jed are second, Gala 5th, Peebles 6th and Kelso 9th. Next week it's Gala against Peebles at Netherdale, Kelso visit Dundee and Jed are at home to Hamilton. A quick word about our Borders Rugby Rankings feature, which is a big part of our website. Among the 23 categories up there, you can see which Borders core team has performed the best of the 10 so far. And at the moment that's Hawick YM, with Jed Forest in second place. Top try scorer is Michael Tate of Kelso in 6 so far this season, and Dan Boughtwood of Peebles is top point scorer with 59. Turning to National League 1, and with Langham's match being cancelled, Berwick moved closer to them in the table with a comfortable win over Annan. Next week the 2 border sides meet at Milntown and we'll be there to cover it. Hawick YM kept their unbeaten run intact with an 8-3 win at Highland and are second in the league. They play Glasgow Accies at home next Saturday. Finally, in the Eastern League, Hawick Lundeen made it 5 out of 5, Duns beat Meggetland, but Hawick Harlequins lost heavily at Portobello. In East 2, Earlston and St Boswell's both won. Next week's East League matches are on your screen now.
Next week we're at Milntown for a local derby in National League 1, Langham against Berwick. Join us then.